Hello and welcome, my friend, to the Incredible Fathers Podcast, where we conquer mental health challenges, eliminate fear, and build happy marriages and righteous families. I'm Philip Mason. I'm your host, and I'm delighted to have time with you today in episode number 11. In this episode, we get to hear from none other than my brother, Robert Mason, who I believe is just an excellent example of someone who takes time for family in a wonderful way, but also has done very well in his work. He's been very successful in his work, and then also has made time for recreation and play with his kids and with his wife. And he's been able to do all three of those in a really wonderful way. So I think you'll have fun talking with him today. So a little bit about Robert. He lives in Washington State, and he is a doctor of physical therapy. He's been practicing for just a little over 11 years. He graduated from the University of Nebraska Medical Center, and he's also a certified strength conditioning specialist through NSCA. So if you're looking for an exercise program or nutrition counseling, he would be a great one to reach out to. You can reach out to him directly. His number is 509-438-5946. And you can also email him masonrj2@gmail.com. I'm excited to have Robert on today. He's married with 3 kids and been married for about 15 years and just a great father. So without further ado, let's get in and talk with Robert. All right, Robert Mason, glad to have you here. Robert's my brother. Appreciate you joining us today, Robert. So I'm excited to have Robert on the show today just because I know he's been through a lot in his life and he has a lot of good insights as a father. So I'm excited to kind of tap into some of that. So we're just going to jump right in here. So Robert, I know that you're a very driven person. What motivates you to succeed as a father?
Yeah, what motivates me to succeed as a father goes back to, I think, my childhood. I feel like there was maybe some untapped potential there. So what drives me as a father is to be able to, and I see it now. I see so much potential in my kids, and that's what drives me, is to bring out that potential and give them every opportunity to use that potential, and they'll eventually pick those few things that they really enjoy doing and they love doing. But I want to be able to help them get there, right? And so I focus my time and energy in giving them a wide variety of things to do and to try. For example, our oldest, Davini, she is running is her thing now, and the violin is her thing now, but she'll still dabble in some piano. She does a ton of reading. It feels like she's done a little bit of everything, and she's only 13. She's tried a lot of stuff. And what's amazing is she just tried basketball for the first time this year too. And she's so excited. She's on the B team. She's having a blast. She had her first game ever, and she scored 6 points. She did fantastic. And Jessica filmed some of it, and I was like, wow, that was actually really, really good. Like you played really well. Like everything about that play you did was like perfect. It looks like you've been playing for a long time, and yet you didn't. So that's what drives me, is like just being able to bring out all the potential in my kids, because I see it in them. I see they have a lot. I just feel like maybe there were some things that I would have done, but I didn't get the opportunity to do, or there was potential there, but I never really developed it. Maybe because I didn't have the guidance or the help to do it, or the time to do it, which is fine. I'm very happy where I'm at, but that's my goal as a parent. And Jessica always has this fun saying. It's not her saying. She gets it from, I think it's from Little Women. It's the Louise Alcott wrote Little Women. And in it, I think Joe March says, I should have been a many great things, or something like that. Right. And all that potential, but circumstances and, health and everything that can get in our way in life, sometimes it's just untapped, and you're not able to achieve that. Yeah, my kids aren't going to be able to experience everything. They're not going to be able to do everything, but I'm trying. I want them to have that opportunity to see the world, to learn math, to be good readers, to learn music, to do some sports, see the outdoors. This last year, in June, we went on our first family backpacking trip. And it was hilarious because our
Nice.
8-year-old at the time, she's 9 now, but like she has this massive backpack on her back and she could barely carry it. And like, well, it's the only one we had, so here we go. And we just made it work, and it was a lot of fun. And I helped carry her back occasionally, but we ended up doing a little over 12 miles, and we had a blast. everyone was a little beat, and they're like, okay, that's kind of like the cutoff for a 9-year-old, but it was good. So, yep, that's how I would I just kind of guess we're gonna wake up, and it's like, okay, we don't want to tap into all that potential that the kids have. They're just sponges. They're learning so much, and just try to give them the world.
That's
Uh,
awesome. So it sounds like you and I kind of have similar sentiments that my experience as adults been like I've discovered all these things about myself and like there's part of me that wishes I would have found out about these things sooner. Like maybe
yeah,
when I was like 10 or
right.
15 or so I could have developed myself earlier in the process.
Yeah, so many things. I
So
mean, I could give you a lot of examples of that, but I won't bore you with that. But yeah, yeah, exactly. I think
yeah.
it's just
No,
cool that
I think
I
that's
think it's cool that we can recognize that and put our best foot forward to give that to the next generation, right? And what a blessing we
yeah.
can, right? That we can give that to the next generation. When you think about our grandfather growing up during World War II and going to serve in World War II, and I'm sure there was maybe some things that he had wanted to do later in life he wasn't able to do, and or when he was a kid because he was stuck on the ranch, and then going to World War
Or
II
stuck
opened
on
up
the
his
battlefield.
eyes, are stuck on the battlefield, or and maybe some of those things opened
Yeah.
his eyes, and it's just amazing. It's amazing. So that, with the opportunities we have
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. There's definitely a legacy to pass on there. That's awesome. I love that. Um, so next question here. So going back to when you were in your doctorate program at the University of Nebraska, you had an experience where you suffered a really bad head injury. You were playing recreational basketball, and you and your wife were just starting a new family. You're in a very demanding program. And I believe at some point in there, you had your first two children there while you guys were in the doctorate program. So how did you get through this really difficult time? And what kind of sustained you? And what did you kind of do to sustain your family during that time?
Yeah, you have a good memory. That's kind of crazy to bring up and think about. Yeah, I mean the simple answer is my wife's love and care. uh, that's a lot to go through. So I don't know if you know the whole story, but it was a Wednesday when the accident happened, and that morning, Jessica, before I went to school, Jessica woke me up and she said, "Hey, Robert, guess what? I'm pregnant." So that was with our
Oh
second.
wow.
So we'd had our first, and she was pregnant with the second. And so that was new information. And so during grad school, like you know how it is. Like you're in classroom all day. You're loaded with a whole bunch of things to study, skills and book, all the material, and then you get an hour to go recreate and like just burn the physical energy that has been stuck just working all that mental energy, and then you get to burn that physical energy. You go do it. And I was playing basketball, and some of this is just pieced together with what I was told, and I was stole the ball and I sprinted down the court to go lay it up on the opposite side. And as I went, I got pushed. I just totally got fouled, just hammered. And in the gym, the wall behind us had a little stage, and it was just a solid piece of wood across there. So when I spun around, I hit the back of my head on that wood, completely knocked me out. When I when I my first coming to consciousness, I was in a decorticate posture. So decorticate posturing is a sign that there's been damage to the cerebrum. So your brain, all right, and the cerebellum and everything up there. If your arms are kind of flexed towards the core, if it's decelerate posturing, your arms are straight and everything's locked in. And that's a sign of damage to the brainstem. So I literally just learned this like the semester before grad school, right? We're kind of going over this stuff because of spinal cord injury and brain injuries and whatnot. So that split second I come to consciousness, it must have been a couple minutes later. I remember like, okay, I was doing this, and then I was out. And then the next thing I woke up and there's someone saying, "Hey, get more paper towels, he's bleeding." And then I was out. And the next time it was an EMT, "Hey, can you squeeze my hand?" And the next time I was on the stretcher, getting a priesthood blessing. So the I mean, when you think about it, like the mortality rate associated with those kind of posturings and those kind of head injuries is like actually around like 60%. Decelerate, it's like
Wow.
90%. Like you injure the brainstem, direct trauma, like it's not very great. So Jessica and we just go, that was a miracle. The priesthood blessing worked and it was answered. And so I'm on the stretcher, I'm going to the emergency room. I don't know. I can't remember if I could feel anything, if I was able to squeeze their hand or whatnot. But we go to the ER. I have a CT done, no fractures. They just staple up the open wound, and I basically get to go home with a major concussion, which should have been a brain injury. Um, you could call it a mild traumatic brain injury, a major concussion, definitely. But I remember, it was the middle of the week. Didn't even attempt to go to school Thursday. I was just home, kind of in and out of consciousness. Friday, I was like, I can't miss. Like, grad school, like your
Yeah.
time and your money is all on the line. Like you really can't miss. You're not making this stuff up. So I try to go to class Friday. Jessica drives me. I sit down. Immediately, the lights, all the people, the noise. Within 5 minutes, I felt like I was going to throw up. I was just so nauseous. Couldn't keep
Mm.
my eyes open. So I walked out of class. Jessica got me, went home. So I think I was able, like, sometime next week, able to go back to class. So it was rough. I
Wow.
During that time though, I found there was a friend in our church congregation who had been through some traumatic brain injuries with motorcycle accidents, and he actually came over a couple times, and he was able to empathize with me. He's like, "You're looking like at a solid month of this. You're gonna feel confused. You're gonna feel lethargic. You're not gonna have the same energy. You might get angry easily, things like that." And so it was nice to have someone to empathize with to get you through that. But all in the time, we have this young kid, my wife's pregnant, and she was like the real champion in the end, being able to kind of hold everything down and care for me and help me keep getting back into school and to have time to study and focus, yet time to rest. So she kind of took everything on her plate, and you kind of get emotional talking about that. Like it was a crazy time going through something like that and having to push through grad school at the same time and having a family. It's amazing you brought this up, because we were driving up to the ski resort this last Saturday, and which is one reason I love doing this, because we have so much time together in the car, and Jessica just started talking about this story to the kids. And it was perfectly pin drop quiet, except for the road. Like, the kids were so engaged with this story, and then Roderick was tearing up in the back. He's like, "Goodness, I can't believe you guys went through that. Like, my goodness, my parents are real people, and they have to go through real life experiences, and they have injuries and they have traumas." Like, so it was amazing, little time to kind of have that refresher. And then you brought it up. But yeah, definitely don't want to have. I hope that's my first and last ambulance ride. But grateful to be here where I'm at and in great physical condition when it could have been much much worse.
Wow. Wow. What a great story. What a what a blessing to be healed and
Yeah.
to function again. And what a special memory too with your children there, just kind of reliving that a little bit with them.
Yep.
Sounds like that was very special. So you're, as a professional, you're kind of the highest level in your professional field right now, and you've mastered a lot of the skills and you have vast knowledge. How as a father do you keep from getting bored in your day-to-day work in the medical field where you have many things that can be routine or mechanical? You're a professional, but then also at home, sometimes things can get routine and mechanical at home too. How do you prevent that from happening, both on a professional level, but also at home as a father?
I want to say it's multiple things. First, like, professionally, it's you practice what you preach. For me, my profession, there's a certain amount of, positioning and lifting and physical work that I do. So I exercise myself. I make sure I take care of my body, and that gives me some motivation to be able to do my profession for one each day, but also long term. And so if I'm out there implementing what I'm preaching, what I'm teaching, then you're a little more invested, and it feels good to do it. Two, I think finally, I really feel like I'm going to enjoy where I'm at, collaborating with coworkers. So it's good. For example, I had this summer I was water skiing and injured my rotator cuff in my left shoulder, subscapularis injury. Um, and I've been dealing with some, like, AC joint issues going on in that left shoulder, and I'm, done a couple different workouts and programs to kind of help improve it, and it's gotten a lot better, but not where I wanted to be. And I had a coworker go, "Hey, I've been looking at some research on vitamin C supplementation along with collagen peptides, and you should try this." And so we look at some research together, and most of it's post-operatively within the first 30 days doing this. So I'm doing this now, and that's just really nice. And I'm going through a little new program, and I'm feeling some benefit from it. So it's cool. So you get to, if you're able to look outside the box and collaborate with some coworkers, you learn some fun stuff. There's new research coming out. Um, for example, in we were just talking about it in the clinic this week, even though it's been out for a while. And I think some guys knew it, but remember the old RICE acronym for an acute
Yeah.
injury:
Yep.
rest, ice, compress, and elevate. So now it's peace. It's peace. It's peace and love. So peace, protect. elevate, avoid anti-inflammatories in eye. So more and more research saying, you're limiting your long-term success of healing that tissue and laying down new collagen and things like that, and anastomoses with the ice and with
Oh,
anti-inflammatories.
oh, interesting.
So they're doing that less. Then you compress, and then you educate, and so they have all these new acronyms and things like that. So there's always new things coming out in the medical field, and so we're chatting about those. So collaborating, have someone to do that with, and that's been helpful. Um, and then when it comes down to it, when I'm off work, just focus on the family. I kind of like what I do in the sense that when I um, clock out, there's not a whole lot of responsibility after that. I get to focus on the family, and I get to be with the family, and I get to do those things, and so I get to kind of separate those. Those good. So I think those three things keep you going on the day to day, which is can be you can burn out very easily when you have a whole bunch of new patients. You have patients who are in a ton of pain, and they're they're very needy and whatever, but it can wear you out fast. So
So it sounds like you're really careful not to bring work home, and you don't
yeah,
you keep it separate, right?
yeah, Jessica will be the first one to tell you, like, I ask Robert every day how my work was, but he never tells me. How's this there?
I'm done
You don't
with
want to
work.
know.
I'm here at
You
home.
don't,
I don't care about work right now. I'm
you
focused
don't
on
want to
you.
know. You don't want to
Yeah.
know. Anyway,
That's awesome. So my next question is kind of related to this. And one of the things that I see with a lot of men, but a lot of men hit the wall professionally and work becomes a drag. It burns them up emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally. And a lot of times we talked about the midlife crisis. What do you have any advice for men who they feel like they're heading towards a midlife crisis? Maybe it's in their marriage, maybe it's at home. They're trying to find purpose. They've been doing the same thing for 15, 20, maybe
yeah,
25 years. What kind of advice would you have from professional standpoint, but also from a standpoint as a father, for men that may be hitting the wall or feeling like they're just dragging?
yeah. Okay, so professionally, like you have to keep learning, right? That keeps you motivated to implement new things, um, to provide new skills, to provide new knowledge to your patients, to yourself. So I think the big thing with this question, though, for me, what comes to my mind is kind of what happened this past year to our family. So over the past couple of years, well, starting out, so I've been practicing for going on 11 years, and which is not long for some people, but long for others. Throughout that time, I always gravitated towards sports and orthopedic care, and so I went and did my strength and conditioning specialty through the NSCA, and started dabbling and training some athletes and stuff like that on the side. Love it, enjoy doing it. I still do it. Do some work with some high school athletes right now, and but during that time, I also started seeking like a new job. I was like, I want more. This is not enough here. Yeah, so my focus was my career, what I can get out of it, what cool athletes can I go treat, what cool gyms can I go work in, um, what new cool things can I do, and so we ended up moving. Found a job in California, really really cool opportunity professionally. Learned using force plates with athletes, all the cool data you can gather with that, and implement programming with that. And it was super fun. Worked at a big gym out of Sacramento, but it was the wrong place. It was the wrong time. When you uproot your family like that and move that far, and then not everything working out is hard. And so I don't think we've totally healed from that. We're back in Washington where we were, and um, I like my job here. It's very comfortable. I get a lot of time with the patients. I enjoy it. And I get a variety of patients. So it's not all just big gym sports. It's good. So the challenge with that, though, is losing focus on the family and focusing 100% on your career. And so that was my experience this past year of doing that. I don't think I'd quite experienced that yet in my career. And say it's the wrong time because it would have been, I'm guessing it would have been better if I had done that when I was right out of school, right? To go down that route and say, I'm going to commit all this time to being in a big gym and working with athletes before school, after school, early hours, late hours, um, and build that resume. You know, our kids are a little older now, middle school, a lot of friends, a lot of activities, and that was big to pull them up out of that. And so I don't think I've forgiven myself for that yet. I don't think some of my kids have forgiven me for that yet. Huge learning experience, huge challenge, but we're stable. We're home. Everyone's doing well. And so don't lose focus on the family. It's tough, Philip. I don't know if I have like the perfect answer for that, but I think I made the wrong choice, even though like it was good in the sense that I learned a lot and both about myself, but also I learned a lot academically and professionally too. I could have learned a whole lot more if I stayed. I wish it could have been. I wish you could go back and do it differently. But it is what it is, and we are where we're at, and we're happy. We're happy, and we're making it work. So we're fighters. We've moved a lot, and in our life trying to find dad's favorite spot and favorite work. And my kids are troopers. My wife's a trooper.
Well,
That's
I
big.
think it's a very common thing. I think a lot of men struggle with that, finding the ideal career situation, finding the
Yeah,
ideal company to work for, the right type of clientele, whatever. Do I do the entrepreneur thing? Do I go work for the big company that with all the perks, or do I go
yeah,
with a smaller company? All those questions, right? So thanks for sharing your experience on that.
yeah.
Knowing you, I know that your marriage has been, very fundamental to your happiness and as a person, and then also to your success, generally speaking. But what advice would you have for men who are considering marriage or they're kind of hesitating a little bit and they're unsure if marriage is the right thing to do? What kind of advice would you give to men in that position?
Yeah, so I do think about this occasionally, looking back on my undergrad days and graduate school, and thinking about, man, like what would it have been like to finish out school on my own and apply to grad school on my own and to move across the country on my own and start a new career on my own. And every time I think about that, I go, nope, I would have done it married. I would have done it married again, you know? If I had to do it, I would do it married. Hands down. So I would encourage them. I would encourage them, look, you'll be more stable. Not only like mentally and but financially in many respects. And because I think when you have that relationship and that with that partnership, like you now are two, you have twice as much help to get through those hard times, to get through the studies, to get through the financial aspect of that, to move to yeah, well, it's twice as much stuff. Whatever. It's like you're a team. You can get so much more done. And so I look back at that like I am where today. I am at where I am today because of Jessica. Like I don't think I would have achieved what I have without her. So every time I go, "Yep, no, I would be married," and that's what I would tell them to do. Yeah, it's so much more. You can focus better. You come home, you still have a relationship. You can do fun things. You still get a date. I mean, you get all those things, but when it counts, like you can focus and you can succeed in those avenues. So I would do it again married.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's really good advice. A lot of the research that's out there suggests that, men that stay single for a long period of time, they end up having a lot of struggles and they're just not healthy. But when you're married, it brings a lot of focus, a lot of clarity, and man, you
Yeah,
just get stuff done. And
absolutely.
it's a beautiful synergy. So thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. So going back to experience that we had together. So we went and climbed to the top of Kings Peak, which is about 13,528. So a
Yeah,
pretty significant peak. We did this back during COVID,
good times.
over Memorial Day weekend. Yeah. So we went up as a group, and I just kind of
Labor Day weekend.
remember,
Labor
was
Day
it
weekend.
Labor Day? Okay. Labor
Labor
Day
Day.
weekend.
Yeah, September.
Yeah, and it was, just kinda unique time in history because of the COVID-19. There's a lot of people there that were hiking in too with us to climb the mountain.
Yeah,
But I remember we hiked in there, we got to the peak, and then we came down. I think it was on the 3rd day, if I'm remembering things right, and it was the day we were planning on kinda hiking out, but I remember you wanting to go up to some higher elevation and explore some alpine lakes that were up in a different direction. And most of us were were a little exhausted. I had my 13-year-old son with me. He was tired. One in our group had some heat exhaustion and some dehydration from yesterday.
yeah,
And I remember
yeah,
you pitching the idea to everyone like, "Hey, let's go hike up and see these lakes." Da 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 da.
yeah.
And
Had the
everyone
map
was
and
just kind of
everything.
like dead. Yeah, yeah, so,
Yeah,
but you had this moment, and I remember it really clearly, where you were, like, kinda looking at everybody, evaluating everyone, and I could tell that you really wanted to go do these lakes, and you had been planning on it, but everyone was just like not the
No,
same physical fitness level that you were on.
that's funny.
But you like had this compassion on us and you're finally like, okay, we're just gonna take our other planned trail out back towards the parking lot. And so we kind of had that scenic route going down a
Yeah.
different route to head back to the parking lot. But
Yeah, I went around to Bear
so my
Lake.
guess my
Yeah,
question, yeah,
that's
around
cool.
Bear Lake. Yep. So, I know you like to push yourself and challenge yourself. My question is, as a leader, as a medical professional, as a father, how have you learned to develop this empathy or this compassion for
Mm,
others, especially when you feel driven to do something that perhaps others aren't capable of doing? How have you kind of developed yourself in that way?
yeah. No, I love that you remember that. I don't think I do remember all of that now that you bring it up. It's kind of funny. I was probably pretty obvious too, like, "Come on, guys, let's go," right? So, this is something you develop, right? Big time. I remember applying to grad school, and what do you put on a medical resume? I mean, for an application, well, everyone, I'm a compassionate person. I should work in healthcare, right? I'm a compassionate person. I'll tell you what, man. The first year of working, I was like, I am not a compassionate person. Like, I was definitely not a compassionate person. I am totally wrong. I thought I was a compassionate person, but I am definitely not. I am losing my patience. So, but now 11 years in, and having done some other things like um, some personal training, but also getting and earning my wilderness first responder certification and doing a little bit of ski patrol and pulling people off the mountain, things like that. Yeah, experience is the great educator in this field. The more things you experience, the more people you see in suffering situations, over time, it kind of breaks your heart down. Like, you can put up a wall for certain types of individuals, but for the most part, like, if you're humble and you want to change, like, you will have those experiences that humble your heart, and you feel compassion and love for these people, and you really want to help them, and you want them to feel better. It's the craziest experiences too. I remember, like, one of my first, I think it was like the second patient I ever had, comes in. The guy was flying his airplane like from Oregon to Idaho. He crashes it into some trees near the airport, survives. He's got a rod down his leg. He's got a new shoulder. It's just nuts what these people went through. And it's like, man, like, this person needs compassion. This person needs some empathy. Like, I can't empathize with that, but, like, yeah, you need to provide that in their care. So experience is the great educator on that. And so the more you do it, the better you get at it, right? And you become more calm. And that's what makes in some respects, a great medical professional, a great emergency responder, a great father. They don't overreact right away, right? We can stay focused on what matters. We can we can stay calm in the midst of an emergency, whether it's your daughter not having what she needs, and or someone bleeding out on the mountain, and you can stay calm, and you'd be like, all right, we can handle this. Everyone's going to stay calm. We're going to do this first, this second, this third. We're going to take care of this. Everyone's going to be all right. It's just a little moment in time. Everything's going to be good in the end. And so that comes with experience and practice. And so I'm grateful for the experiences I've had that have kind of helped me get there. In that position. And I know that I still have a ton of work to become more empathetic and sympathize with more people and be more compassionate in my profession and as a father. Um,
It's always a work in progress, isn't it?
it is.
I appreciate you sharing that. So, my next question for you is, you've always been a great adventurer, explorer, athlete. You've done a lot of different things. Um, and I know you love taking your family on recreational activities. So, for our listeners, tell us what your strategy is for planning out family activities and involving your family in some of the adventures that you go on.
Sure. So I'm a big planner, and I will be at work. I'll have my chart up. Chart and other tab is a Google Maps, and it's, oh, I wonder what about that place, like that mountain or that lake. Like, what if we hiked in there and, like, went there and did that. And so I have a couple notes in my phone and long lists of places we've been and things we've done, and then I have another list of places we want to go and things we want to do, and that's usually longer than the other one, but it's getting maybe a little more balanced out as you get older. And so I'm always adjusting it and looking at it, and I'll always text it to Jess every once in a while, and I'll always bring it up. And So I'm always throwing out ideas. That's it. I just who I am. Like I can't sit still. I like, okay, what are we gonna do this weekend? I got to go do something. It's just a lot of it's personality, but I do methodically plan. Boom, boom, boom. I want to do this. I'm researching maps, forms, looking at data on what people have done and haven't, what was successful and what wasn't, and networking and stuff like that. As far as incorporating the family, you have successes and you have failures with that, where you got one kid who, well, for most time, it's like you get one kid who doesn't really want to go and do that. But by the end of the trip, they're like, "That was amazing. Let's go do it again." Right? And for Jess, it's certain things like, for example, skiing. If she's warm, she's good. She'll ski all day. She's a good skier. So it takes, like with the family, it takes a lot of planning. It takes knowing each individual, and it's a lot of effort. Like it's a lot of effort. Like all right, we're going skiing tomorrow. All right, dad's gonna be packing for like an hour, and mom's got a list. Okay, does each kid have this? Check, check, check. We're all checking everything. All right, let's get to bed early. All right, let's not make lunch and do this. For the most part, some of these things haven't been very we haven't been very spontaneous. It's been well planned, but we're just those planners and we like to go do those things. And more though, as the kids get busier and a little older, some of those things kind of have to be spontaneous to fit that time in. And my wife works at the airport part-time now, so she has some flight benefits, and we just recently did a spontaneous trip to Costa Rica, and it was like, this feels so weird. Like we're sitting in the airport. All right, which gate do we choose? Let's go gate 9. And all right, I guess 9B. And we're gonna go to Costa Rica. Okay, here we go. There's 4 seats available. All right, here we go. All right, let's look up some places to stay. Let's look up some activities to do. Good thing we
Nice.
had a blast, and we're like, all right, let's start doing some more of these spontaneous things, take our kids some places and see some things. But yeah, it takes a lot of time and effort, and I just enjoy it so much, being on the go and doing those things, that I'm willing to put in the effort to do it, I guess. But it does. I heard plenty of people like, I just don't like to go skiing because it's so much work. I'm like, that's okay. Yeah,
There's some
I
truth
get
to that, but
I get it. But in
so
the end, it's worth it. So
that's
yeah,
awesome. So you've always been a big planner, but you're doing some of the spontaneous stuff now
yeah,
too as well.
yeah.
So kind of take this question just a little bit further. You've kind of already touched on it a little bit, but like, you've done a lot of high risk activities like rock climbing, climbing volcanoes, mountaineering, hella skiing. What other kind of things have you done?
Oh,
The
I don't know.
lot some high risk things like not your
Yeah,
average person has done, right?
yeah.
Um, and that's common for you. But how do you kind of manage that risk? Like you need to stay safe, right? You're a father, you have a wife and kids to come back. Like
Mhm.
how do you manage that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Like, so, I mean, honestly and professionally, like you have to know your physical limit, like physically, like, okay, I'm in really good physical condition. Like I know I can do this versus what you physically can't do. So one, I always am very keenly aware of my physical conditioning. Two, I know like my trip, like that's one reason I'm a planner. Like I want to plan. I want to understand the area I'm going to. I want to understand the risks of that area. I want to know the weather is going to be that whole time as best as we can. I want to be prepared, and then I'm going to bring all of the resources that I need to be successful in that. And so I think, Jessica now, like she knows I am going to be prepared for that as much as possible. It's learning. Like I've had bad experiences where I wasn't prepared and bad things happen. And some people maybe got a little hurt or, had an experience they don't want to go back, but you get better at it as you do those things. But um, to there's always a way to be better prepared and mitigate the risk, even though you can't. Some of those experiences you can't completely mitigate the risk, right? So the yeah, so there's just certain rules like you just have to follow up there. Like you don't go like on mountaineer, like you don't go alone, right? There's a reason the rule is there, and if you break it without getting special permit to do so, I mean they'll fine you. Things like that. Repeat the question for me, Philip, again too. I don't know if I completely
Yeah,
answered that
just
for you.
how you manage the risk of that. Like, and so you come home safe to your family every time
Yeah,
because some of those activities are really high risk, right?
yeah. Preparation's number one.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
And I know some of your activities, like I know you've done some ultra long running, and
Hmm.
sometimes those aren't high risk, but there's a chance of injuring yourself because you're
Hmm.
doing a 39K or whatever it is, you're
Yeah.
doing. So you have to manage that.
Yeah. I remember a time when we were up in northern Idaho backcountry skiing with a cousin, and amazing powder day, just a couple feet, more than a couple feet. But we'd ski down a couple runs and we were hiking up, and he's like, Robert, I've always seen you do backflip. I want to do backflip. Right. So we build this massive jump, and we started throwing some backflip. I throw a backflip, but he just wasn't coordinated quite to do that. And it was really tough for him. And he landed on his head. I mean, it was powder, but he landed on his head. And that was the moment I went, that we're done. You're done. Don't try again. Like, I don't want to have to carry you out of here with a broken leg. Anyway, I've got stories for days, Philip, of stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
anyway, yeah, that was wild.
no, that was perfect. Thanks for sharing. So we're going just a little bit farther on this again. So, what kind of benefits have you seen from engaging in those recreational activities with your family, especially those that maybe you're pushing the envelope and you're stretching your children or even your wife, and pushing the envelope a little bit on some of those activities where it challenges them. What
Yeah.
what kind of benefits have you seen come to your family because of the engaging those types of activities?
Yeah. Yeah, the first thing comes to mind is self-confidence with the kids. Um, I know which kid has more confidence right off the bat, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go do this." Yeah, and you're like, "Whoa, let's talk about some safety here with this activity first, right?" Like, and then you have the kid who's like, "I don't know if I can do this. I'm a little hesitant." But then they walk away, they do it, they succeed, and their confidence just skyrockets. So that's the first one is self-confidence, and um the so many other benefits are like physical fitness. Like the kids, when they go do these things, they realize like, "Oh, I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was. I just climbed up that rock, or I just jumped off this cliff and into the lake, and it was a 40-foot drop, and I can do that." And the other thing is skills, like to go do some of those things. Like, okay, you got to learn how to pack a pack, and you've got to learn how to prep food out and about. You got to learn how to tie some knots. You got to learn how to manage your clothing, how to stay dry, just all those different skills that you can learn. So self-confidence, physical fitness, skills, knowledge. Um, I think one of the coolest benefits though, psychologically and mentally, is like closeness, like the time. Not only like on the car drives to the trailhead, but like when you're out and about and there's no cell phone reception on the middle of Lake Powell or up in the middle of Goat Rock Wilderness. Like, it's just you and that person, and there's no other place, there's no better place to connect, right? And to learn and to talk by a fire in the mountains, whatever it is. So that's one of those things that I look forward to every time is that closeness, that bonding, that connection that you can get with your kids and your spouse. That is so hard, especially as they get older, and really well, and I'm learning it's so much harder later in life, as a teenager and in middle school, high school ages.
That's beautiful. So, what would you say have been for you personally? What have been the rewards of being a husband and father? I know you've kind of mentioned some things already, but what to you are the rewards or the big payoffs that you see along the journey of being a husband and father?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I don't know. You always think of reward. You think of, oh, hey, like a monetary reward or some sort of personal benefit. I honestly, like, sentimentally, like, it's just that I'm not alone. That I have a support group. I have love. Like, I have so much love for my kids. They love me so much, even though they've been mad at me for moving, and they've been mad at me for, and whatever it might be, like not throwing the football just right. Or it's funny. Um, and despite all those things of being an inadequate person, and being like, those are the people who love you the most, your wife and your kids, when it comes down to it. And they know you the best at this point, and they love you the most, and they're the first to forgive you and to bring you and accept you back in. So that's a gift. That's amazing. Like, you can't find that anywhere else. That kind of love and bond. And And so I think that's my biggest reward of being a father and a husband is just having that love from them.
Yeah, just the actual love.
Yeah.
So, kind of going the other direction here. Last question for tonight. So, what do you feels like been your hardest challenge you've had to deal with as a husband and father? I know you've mentioned moving and finding the right career fit, but what do you think's been the hardest challenge as a husband and father outside of that?
Yeah. Outside of those, yeah, outside of career fit and providing for them, I think one of the probably the biggest challenge outside of that is staying well-rounded. Being well-rounded in not being a hypocrite. I think that's a challenge. It's easy for the dad to say, "Hey, kid, go exercise. You need to exercise, right? You're young. You get out there, like, hey, are you doing it yourself?" Or, "Hey, you shouldn't be watching that. So you shouldn't be listening to that song." So I'm like, but like you're out there jamming in the gym to something else. So maybe those two things fill up. Like kids to be a certain way. Like you got to live that way too. And then remaining well-rounded, like it's so easy to get hyper focused on one thing. An example of my career and what I wanted to do with that, or my hobbies and what I want to do with those. It's so easy to hyper focus and not be well-rounded in the spiritual aspect, emotional aspect, physical aspect, finances, what it applies to everything. So I think that's a big challenge is staying well-rounded, and practicing what you preach to your kids. That's what I'm working at, and that's what I'll keep working at as a father. Like it never ends, right? It's like you'll always have that task.
Always a father, always a father. You always
Yeah.
keep pushing, keep trying, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's been great talking, Robert. Appreciate all your insights that you provided for us tonight, and
Yeah.
just keep being a great father. We appreciate it all. Hey, my friend, I hope you enjoyed that interview as much as I did. To me, that was a very inspirational interview. Robert's always been a great inspiration to me, so I'm glad you had an opportunity to meet him and get to know him. Robert is an awesome father, literally at work. He's an awesome father at home, and he's an awesome father when he's out playing and enjoying the recreation. He's just a great man overall in all areas of his life, and I think he's just a great opportunity to learn from someone who's done an excellent job of taking care of himself and taking care of his family and taking care of his work responsibilities. And I just want you to know that I totally believe in you, that you can do this. You can it's possible to have a family and a great career. It's possible to have great play opportunities with your children and enjoy great recreation. And it's also possible to be great at work at the same time. And I just want you to hear that from Robert, because he's really dedicated himself to his career, but also to his family. And he's been successful at both. My friend, thank you. I've just enjoyed so much being with you today, and we'll catch you on the next episode. God bless.